Hello.
Okay.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing
so
well.
I may have bungled the local coefficient a little bit, or at least not clearly articulated it. And some people weren't here for that. So if you could do a little refresher on what that is.
Yeah, so the idea behind the local coefficient is you've got Mark Andreessen saying software will eat the world, and that will happen to parts of the world. But my hypothesis is there are essential parts of the $3 trillion local commerce industry in the United States that aren't going to go away. Restaurants are a great example. You can have all the software in the world. Those aren't going to make restaurants go away. You know, we have 17 platform partners, including food delivery partners. And our food delivery partners, Delivery.com is here today, Eat24, which we recently acquired. They're not putting restaurants out of business or eating them. They're actually helping them stay in business and driving even more orders by taking this kind of online to offline commerce. So the local coefficient said, hey, if we go vertical by vertical in local, take people like restaurants and plumbers and doctors and dentists and home and local services, and figure out if you could get a coefficient, you know, somewhere between 0 and 1, and say, how local are they? How intrinsically do you need that brick and mortar experience of some kind, even if they do delivery or takeout or an online pickup of some kind? How would you measure that? And I went through each vertical, and restaurants were one that had a pretty high local coefficient. But there are industries, you know, like bookstores, right? So bookstores, unfortunately for bookstores, have a low local coefficient, which means because you can just deliver reading by bits, you know, same with video. And so not surprisingly, you see those kinds of businesses going out of business sooner in the physical world. They'll still have some place where the high local coefficient ones are here to stay. By my math, you're still going to see, you know, more than $2 trillion on today's dollars of local commerce, and that's only going to grow because of the online to offline.
Right. Great. Well, thank you for that refresher. And, you know, we see that as really playing into our theme of the connected local economy, which is bringing various systems together to support that local commerce. But let's talk about how does the local coefficient play into your day-to-day?
Yeah, so as I alluded to, you know, we saw this trend at Yelp, and we said, hey, it would be amazing if we're already the largest, you know, pure destination for consumers looking for local services, local businesses. You know, we've got 140 million monthly unique visitors that are looking for this stuff. Well, what if we could connect them with services that are taking it to that next step and actually allowing a booking or a transaction or a delivery or a pickup? And so we first launched with food delivery, like I mentioned, Delivery.com, Eat24, and our other food delivery partners. And now we're actually up to 17 partners. So we've grown quite a bit in the 2 years since last time we spoke. And we went vertical by vertical. You know, the most recent launch, Shoptiques, is really interesting, where you have boutiques, which are one of the largest categories on Yelp, just that shopping and retail category in general. And we didn't think we'd be able to easily find an online partner who could help fulfill that, right? Like it normally seems like, well, shopping online would just be e-commerce, just mail it to your house from a warehouse. But actually this really cool company, Shoptiques, you know, you can picture a New York boutique with very unique inventory, right? They're not going to go online only. And actually, for someone shopping there, being able to either make a return in person, go change the size, have an in-person experience when you pick up your items or get them delivered, that's actually quite important. They don't want to just get it from a warehouse and have a hard time returning it, have a hard time talking to someone about their purchase.
In that area, you know, that's another area where Mark Andreessen said, you know, malls are going to go away. Mm-hmm. Do you see that they're going to transform, though, you know, just become sort of showrooms and...
I think malls will transform. I think the really interesting trend you're seeing is in a post-Amazon world where you can buy commoditized items pretty easily online. For lack of a better word, you know, obviously I drink our own Kool-Aid, but I think you'll see consumers looking for more Yelpy shopping experiences. And more Yelpy. So more Yelpy means, I mean, you know,
shopping
like one of the Yelpiest streets
awesome.
in San Francisco is like Valencia Street, right? It's no accident. Or if you think about like Williamsburg and all these places where you've got a huge concentration of like highly rated and highly reviewed Yelp businesses, and they're all unique. You go to these very interesting stores and shops, you know, Humphrey Slocomb or Buy Right Ice Cream, right? One of the most reviewed businesses in America, where you've got funky flavors of ice cream. Like, you don't want to just get commoditized products now. If you're going to spend your hard-earned time and money walking around to stores, you want to get something unique, interesting, local, and that's how we're kind of helping local businesses stay in business and grow by encouraging those really unique, independent local stores.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And so on your platform initiative, you guys have 17 partners right now?
17 partners right now, that's correct.
In ShopTeeks last week.
Yeah.
So, but then also you acquired Eat24, which moves away from the platform approach. So how do you decide, you know, who to partner with and who to acquire and how long you date until you get married?
That's funny. We used the dating analogy when we were talking about the E24 acquisition quite a bit. It's, you know, we met, we flirted a little bit, they used our API, then we started dating, then things got a little more serious. We decided to move in together, got it, you know, and then we got married. But you know, I think E24 is just symbolic of our commitment to platform. Yeah, I think we've got, you know, another platform partner here in spas, Booking.com. So we've got, you know, we're going vertical by vertical and doing every area. And I think when we see an area is going really well, we only double down. And I think for the startups and growing companies on our platform, I think it's a good thing to say, hey, there's a potential route to acquisition, and Yelp could get even more involved if this vertical is really growing or doing really well. And so we're still happily partnered with our other food delivery partners also. It just allows us to further refine the experience and make it better and better.
Meaning acquiring E24.
Yes, acquiring E24 does.
Yeah. Well, so talk us through that decision just a little bit more, like that one specifically.
Yep.
Was it because it was the food area, or what was it about that particular?
Yeah, so restaurants, food, and nightlife on Yelp get the most traffic. It's you know, it's what we're known for, right? Yelp is really synonymous with food. We've got all these other verticals, and you know, we're the leader in a bunch of different areas. But at the end of the day, food is really critical to us. Food is also a category where you could see people having daily usage, right? If you think about it, you're probably not going to look for a plumber every day, right? I hope you don't have to look. But you're going to eat every single day. Hunger is a persistent problem, and we're trying to solve it, right? Every day I'm faced with a battle with hunger, especially around like 6 or 7 o'clock. It gets really annoying. But our platform helps solve that. E24 was one of our strongest platform partners. We were seeing the metrics, and we were like, wow, well, this is going really well. What if we made an acquisition? And then, you know, them timing-wise, something came up where it looked like maybe an acquisition could make sense. And so we said, hey, do we want to double down on this vertical? Is it going really well? And we decided yes. And now that we've acquired the company, we can just learn that much more about how to make a better and better food delivery experience. We're already taking lessons and baking that into making the platform itself better. You know, improving the flows, improving the UI, and figuring out whatever we can do to drive more food delivery orders.
What are some of those things that you're learning?
Yeah, so for example, you know, one thing that's really helpful is insofar as we can have like photos and content around the menu order. Like, you know, imagine you're looking at a menu and it has no photos in it. Versus you're looking at a menu and nearly every dish has a photo because we can expose some of the stuff. You're going to have a way better ordering experience when you can have those photos in it. So like, that's an example. You can have content to know what to order in the first place. And E24, well before we acquired them, was already using the Yelp star rating and doing a little bit of that. But now we've been able to rapidly increase how much kind of innovation. Just, you know, it's only been 3 months since we acquired the company, and we've already been able to kind of improve conversions, get more people ordering.
Right. And and I want to come back to E24 also in a second, but you guys also announced partnerships with Golf Now and Bloom Nation. And so how do you decide which verticals to partner with? How do you decide what to look at?
So one way, there's the actual kind of quantitative way, but then there's also a fun kind of story that I think illustrates it. The quantitative way is, you know, there's Peter Curzon who's in the room here. We'll sit down and we actually go through a big spreadsheet. Peter, are you here? Yeah, there he is. And we figure out, okay, how much traffic does Yelp have in that vertical? How many merchants are there? So ultimately, how many users and page views? Because we want to be in a vertical where, for our partner, they're actually going to be able to drive volume. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense for either of us. And then we look for partners with a certain number of locations. Like ideally, they have 1,000 locations or more. So, because if someone's got like 10 locations, let's say up, it's also not going to be as valuable. So, if we can start to align, like Yelp's got the traffic, we've got the usage, we think people do the bookings, the partner has a bunch of locations and want to work with us. That's where all the things come together. And so, you know, Bloom Nation, ShopTeeks, Booking.com, Delivery.com, E24, that all came together. Golf Now might have slightly less locations, but there are also some of these verticals that are like too interesting to pass up. So Golf Now, Seller Pass, where you can book a wine country visit.
Too interesting to the people at Yelp.
For everybody to pass up, right? It really kind of showcases. So then this gets to the kind of anecdotal. So, you know, I tell people, imagine you're going on like a, you know, Valentine's getaway weekend. So now you can like, You can book the hotel, via our Hipmunk partnership, right, on Yelp. Then you can start researching restaurants and, book those. You can book some food delivery once you arrive. You book flowers to arrive there.
Yeah.
You can book a golf outing, your wine tasting. You start going, spa treatment,
Right.
vertical by vertical.
Okay. That's great. And so are you guys bundling those together in ways that, as part of a user acquisition strategy at all?
So we haven't done, we've thought about, and we're spreading that messaging, but we don't have a product experience right now that integrates the, hey, do the whole package, but it's definitely something we're thinking about.
Yeah. So now, part of your job these days, in addition to business and corporate development, is also general manager of E24, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
When we acquired the company 3 months ago, we decided to put it there.
Yeah, so talk about your role there and, what you're doing, what your day-to-day is like.
Yeah, so we've got 250 employees, newly, minted Yelp employees who kind of came from that side. So in addition to kind of doing business and corporate development work, now there's just general management. So we go through figuring out what we're going to do with the product, what we're going to do with integration, how we're managing the team, what we're doing with our customer service and support to have, a really good experience for customers there.
Okay. I also want to talk about mobile and, huge topic, how it's changing the game for you guys. I guess in some ways it comes down to how much of your traffic comes from Google and how much of it doesn't, because mobile obviously changes things a bit there.
Yeah, what's pretty interesting is 2 years ago, I was here, and at the time, I think we were still majority desktop, right? And mobile was growing, and it was a big meme, both for us and Facebook. Will Facebook, Yelp, these companies survive the mobile transition? What's going to happen? And there are mobile-first startups coming out. And the amazing thing is I'm happy to sit here today where now a majority of our monthly unique visitors, we had 79 million monthly unique mobile visitors, just mobile, in the last quarter, which is pretty incredible. And that's grown quite a bit from 60 some odd million from the previous Q1 year on year. Okay. So mobile, I think the reason it went so well for us, the transition, and we're kind of really pleased to see it, and we're pleased to see, a larger percentage of our traffic coming from that versus like people searching on search engines as a primary way. And I think part of it is local was inherently made for mobile. SOLO-MO is obviously an overused term by now.
I think it's dead.
It's dead, right? There was even the SOLO-MO conference, right?
Yeah, now we say hyper-local.
Hyper-local.
Yeah.
But local and mobile are inherently linked. There's no accident that there's an explosion of local startups now that mobile phones have really taken off. And so at Yelp, frankly, we were really lucky that we weren't founded 10 years earlier or 10 years later. We're kind of just at the right time to build this large audience and pool of content and have it all ready to tie up in a bow and present it. And like, here you go, mobile users. Here's this really useful app. And then it kind of skyrocketed from there. So
yeah. How are people finding you? We talked a little bit about this on the phone, but it comes down to how much of your traffic comes from search, from Google.
Yep. So, well, if you look at it now, so 65% of Yelp searches actually happen on a mobile device. Over half of our content, this is surprising to some people, actually happens on a mobile device. So even the long form reviews, photos, all that stuff, that's all majority now happening on mobile.
Right. That's once they're on the Yelp platform.
That's once they're on Yelp. Yeah.
Like in terms of getting there.
So kind of user acquisition and traffic. So a majority are mobile now, which means that they either downloaded the app or they find us kind of in other ways. One big way is we have big integrations with nearly every platform. So Apple and Samsung, right, the two largest phone manufacturers have major Yelp integrations. Amazon built us into all Amazon Kindle devices in their mobile platform. Microsoft, Yahoo, you kind of go down the list. Even down to watches and stuff. So we did a mobile Apple Watch integration, which is pretty cool. So we're even wearables. So we have a very large footprint kind of across mobile.
And what
and
about
I think
navigation in cars?
Yep. So we're in all the big auto manufacturers. So BMW, Lexus, Mercedes, Volvo, Volkswagen, Hyundai, Honda, Porsche.
And how much activity are you seeing on that?
Auto has a lot of activity, but what it doesn't do, it doesn't drive a bunch of traffic like back to Yelp's web or mobile apps directly, right? Because there's no big opportunity to click. Frankly, you don't want people doing a lot of clicking around in the car, right? You want them to be focused on the drive and just have simple either audio-based experiences where they can pull up that data.
Right.
So that's one where we do almost, pro bono, like we give that data away just because it's valuable to auto manufacturers and then their users.
Right.
But we're not looking at that as a big kind of drive back to source. Although every time someone finds a Yelp business and has a great experience with a local business, like I'm happy, right? It doesn't matter if we're making money directly or running advertising.
Cost, or it's a
It's not even that. It's just like it's good for our brand. It's good karma at the end of the day. But it's also just like, hey, if ultimately, I think if consumers feel like they're finding great local businesses and technology help them do that, that just helps Yelp in general. They often associate that with Yelp, and it's just like, okay, this thing works. You know, before Yelp was around, I used to search for restaurants online. It was really, really hard. Right. It was not always reliable. But now, I religiously go by Yelp ratings for, and you know, not just doctors. Last time I was here, I had a broken hand, and I even canceled so I was here 2 years ago speaking in a cast, and the next morning I had surgery with a surgeon who wanted to put a metal plate on my hand, but because his Yelp reviews were mixed, I actually canceled the appointment. Found a new surgeon with a higher Yelp rating who told me that I didn't need a metal plate in my hand. I could just do this other thing where I'm like, it's totally healed today and I can do whatever I want. So
So Yelp saved your hand.
It saved my hand from having metal. And there are many, many examples of this. So it's
that's great. Now let's also talk about. So we talked about the user side of mobile. What about on the sales side? You know, you guys have been seeing an increase in CPC.
That's right.
Yeah, and how does that play into mobile for you guys?
Yeah, so we've been focused a lot on performance-based advertising now, and so that's a big new area for us, and advertisers have really responded well. And I think again, it works really well on mobile because if you think about mobile, that ROI to our advertisers as well as that ability, and it ties back into platform, is just very clear, right? You're looking at a mobile page, and you can either click to call the business right there, you can click to get directions, you can see an ad in search, right, and then click on that ad, get to the profile, or you can just go ahead and do the booking all the way through. So not only can we do CPC and performance based there, but we also have all these great metrics of the actions of like how many leads essentially are going to that business, which are really valuable versus the desktop web. It was way harder to track all that stuff. Right.
I mean, are you guys like looking to follow that all the way through in terms of attribution, like getting into the store or the restaurant?
Yeah, I mean, that's what a lot of these platform efforts allow us to do, as well as simple things, like I said, calls and directions, where we're reporting more and more of that back to the advertiser, which is really valuable to them.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so there's definitely more things to talk about, but we've got a couple minutes. I wanted to see if there were any questions from the audience.
All right. Brave souls, yeah.
There's one back there. Where's Laura? There she is.
There's
Laura's on her way.
Hello. You sharing
What's your name?
My name is Fernando, sorry.
Fernando, what company?
I work for Study Soup.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool. And I had a question. You were sharing the story about going to the doctor and the metal plate. It made me think, it kind of just, my thoughts expanded to, I've been to a concert and a sporting event recently that were, pretty subpar, and I was just curious what your thought process was at Yelp as far as live events specifically, kind of that vertical, and how it can be, really variable and, not as consistent as far as the experience that people can expect.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. For the concert and even smaller venues, we have great reviews, and that can actually be pretty valuable because at a large arena or something, maybe not as much, but you've got places like the Fillmore, right, in San Francisco, where the Yelp reviews actually give you a pretty good sense of what going to any live show there might be like. So we've got that, but we don't, unfortunately, it's like less useful to people if you review that one night, how that one act was at the Fillmore, because they're never going to do it again, or they might not do it again for a long time. So I know there's a lot of great kind of sites out there that try and give some sense of that, but I think we're not focused on kind of the traveling show, but that consistent place that stays there that does have some similarities, we actually can give people a lot of really useful information. Even little things too in the reviews, it might say like, hey, remember that parking is in the back, or if you want to get drinks, or this coat check is up here, like little insider stuff to remember to sit in this part of the stage, or it gets foggy out there at Shoreline, make sure you bring a coat. Stuff like that can be helpful.
We could apply that to traveling in planes as well. I have a lot of things I would post on reviews.
You can review airlines, actually.
Oh, you can?
Yeah,
how about
so
specific flights?
And you can review, what's great is airport food. Next time you're at an airport and you're in a terminal and you're like, well, there's all this crap airport food, just go nearby restaurants, and you can even like reduce the distance to really tight. Yeah. And it actually tells you like Terminal B, near gate this, and which airport restaurants are better than others.
Great. Other questions? Okay, so the last one is, who is going to be acquiring Yelp?
Who's going to be acquired? As we've said, can't comment on rumors and speculation. But
and what is the rumor and speculation about?
Well, I think there's probably an article that you read that we also read referring to. It's an interesting article, but we can't comment on rumors and speculation.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Great to have you up here again. Thank you, everyone. There really aren't any more questions, right? Don't want to cut anyone off. Okay. Well, thank you very much. And we're going to break now, so enjoy. Thank you.